You are a slave to your own feelings. An insult ruins your day. A minor setback creates a storm of anxiety. A moment of anger makes you say things you can never take back. This is not control. This is chaos. This program is not about suppressing emotion. It is about mastering it. We will teach you the skill of emotional detachment. This is how you reclaim your power by learning to observe your feelings without becoming them. This is not a theory. This is a training protocol for your mind. Listen closely. Your liberation begins now. Chapter 1: The Tyranny of the Unchecked Mind. Let's begin with a hard truth. Your mind, the very tool you believe gives you freedom, is a prison. It is a cage built over years, not with bars of steel, but with circuits of reaction. You did not build it consciously. It was constructed for you, by you, one automatic response at a time. You are both the inmate and the oblivious guard, pacing the perimeter, convinced this is all there is. Think about your day. An email arrives with a critical tone. Before you have a chance to think, a jolt of anger or defensiveness courses through you. The circuit is closed. The emotion takes over. You fire back a reply you later regret. Someone makes a passive-aggressive comment in a meeting. Your stomach tightens. Your mind starts racing, replaying the words, building a case against them. Your focus is shattered. The trap is sprung. You have surrendered your power to a handful of words spoken by someone who likely forgot them a moment later. This is the tyranny of the unchecked mind. It is a state of perpetual reaction. You are not living, you are responding. You are a ship without a captain, tossed on the waves of external events and internal storms. An insult is the wind that sends you crashing into the rocks of rage. A minor failure is the current that drags you into the depths of despair. You believe you are in control, but you control nothing. You are at the mercy of everything. This must end. The first step to dismantling any prison is to recognize that you are in one. You must see the bars. You must feel the cold, hard reality of the walls you have mistaken for the horizon. It is not about blame. It is not about shame. It is about a clear, cold diagnosis of your current condition. You are emotionally enslaved. But what if I told you there is a part of you that has never been in this prison? A part of you that is fundamentally, unshakably free. A part of you that has never been angry, never been anxious, never been hurt. It has watched every storm of emotion pass through you, untouched and unmoved. This is the observer self. This is not a mystical concept. It is the most practical and powerful tool you possess. It is the core of your consciousness, the silent witness behind your thoughts, your feelings, and your impulses. Your feelings are the weather, the passing storms, the fleeting clouds, the brilliant sunshine. You are not the weather. You are the sky. The sky does not fight the storm, it simply contains it. It allows the storm to exist, to rage, and to pass, remaining unchanged. This is the foundational truth of this entire program, and you will repeat it until it becomes your reality. You are the observer, not the feeling. Say it to yourself right now. I am the observer, not the feeling. When rage boils in your chest, that is a storm. You are the sky. When anxiety knots your stomach, that is a fog. You are the sky. When validation from others makes you feel euphoric, that is a sunbeam. It is beautiful, but it will pass. You are the sky. You are the observer, not the feeling. This is not a suggestion. It is a law of mental control. For years, you have been making a fundamental mistake. You have been fusing your identity with your temporary emotional states. You don't just feel anger, you say, I am angry. You don't just experience sadness, you say, I am sad. By doing this, you give the feeling permission to become you, to command your actions, to dictate your reality. That is the behavior of the inmate. The master understands the distinction. The master knows that the feeling is just a visitor, a piece of information, a signal. It is not the master of the house. You are. So what is the work? What is the first step out of this prison? It is simple. But do not mistake simple for easy. Your only task, starting today, is to notice. That's it. To notice. When a feeling arises, your job is not to fight it, not to suppress it, and not to act on it. Your job is to observe it with the detached curiosity of a scientist. When the flush of anger comes, simply make a mental note, this is the feeling of anger. I am observing it. When the wave of anxiety begins to build, you will say to yourself, interesting. The body is producing the sensation of anxiety. I am watching it happen. You are creating a separation. You are driving a wedge of awareness between the stimulus and the response. It's not about becoming an unfeeling robot. It's about becoming a disciplined operator of your own mind. You don't need to kill your emotions. You just need to stop letting them hijack your consciousness. You have a choice. You can continue to be fused with every fleeting emotion, thrown around by the slightest breeze, or you can begin the practice of detachment. You can begin the work of identifying with the observer, the silent, powerful center of your being that is always calm, always clear, and always in control. This is the key. The only key. Without this understanding, every other technique is useless. You can try to manage your anger or cope with your anxiety, but you will always be fighting a losing battle because you are fighting from within the emotion. The only way to win is to step outside of it, to rise above it, to become the observer. Repeat it one more time. You are the observer, not the feeling. This is your new mantra. It is the code that will unlock the prison door. You have lived under the tyranny of the unchecked mind for long enough. You have seen the bars. You have been introduced to the part of you that was always free. But recognition is not enough. To break the chains of automatic reaction, you need a tool. You need a weapon. You need to learn how to create a space between what happens to you and what you do about it. That space is your salvation. And we will build it, 1 second at a time, in our next chapter. Chapter 2, Creating the Gap, the Sacred Pause Before Reaction. In the last chapter, we established a non-negotiable truth. You are the observer, not the feeling. You recognized the prison of your unchecked mind. Now, I will give you the key to unlock the door. This key is not complicated. It is not hidden. It is a tool of such profound simplicity that most people overlook it their entire lives, choosing instead to remain prisoners of their own reactions. The tool is the pause. Your entire life up to this point has been governed by a simple, brutal equation: stimulus leads to response. Event leads to emotion leads to action. The circuit is instantaneous, automatic, and unconscious. A driver cuts you off in traffic. Stimulus. A surge of rage floods your system. Response. You lean on the horn, you shout, you raise your blood pressure. You have given your power away to a stranger in another car. The circuit is complete. You have lost. This stimulus-response loop is the chain that keeps you shackled. It is the mechanism of the slave. But between stimulus and response, there is a space. For most, this space lasts less than a millisecond before the automatic reaction takes over. For the master, this space is everything. It is a kingdom of pure potential. It is the place where choice is born. Your entire work, the entire foundation of emotional detachment, is to find that space and expand it. This is the sacred pause. Your command for this chapter is simple: find the pause. Own the space. Let's make this practical. Imagine you open your inbox. You see an email from a colleague or your boss. The tone is sharp, critical, perhaps even accusatory. It questions your work. It implies you are incompetent. The untrained mind, the mind of the inmate, sees the words and reacts. Stimulus. Instantly, the body is flooded with cortisol. The heart rate quickens. The face flushes. The emotion, anger, defensiveness, anxiety, hijacks the brain. The fingers fly to the keyboard, typing a long, justification-filled, emotionally charged reply. You hit send. Response. For a fleeting moment, you feel a sense of vindication. But soon after, regret follows. You escalated the situation. You looked unprofessional. You revealed your weakness. You let them control you. Now, let's run that scenario again, but this time with the mind of a disciplined operator. You open the email. You read the same words. Stimulus. You feel the initial spark of anger. You feel the defensiveness rising in your chest. You are the observer. You notice these feelings arise. And then, you do nothing. You pause. You take one deep, conscious breath. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. In that single breath, in that 2-second gap you have just intentionally created, everything changes. You have broken the circuit. The automatic reaction has been stopped dead in its tracks. The emotion is still there, you can observe it, but it is no longer in the driver's seat. You have found the pause. Now, you must own the space. In this space, you have power. In this space, you have clarity. You can look at the situation logically. Is the criticism valid? Is there a misunderstanding? What is the most strategic, effective response? Is the best response to reply immediately, or to wait an hour? Is the best response a detailed email, or a calm, face-to-face conversation? You see the difference. The first path is reaction. The second is a chosen response. One is weakness, the other is power. One is chaos, the other is control. It's not about ignoring the email. It's not about suppressing the anger. It is about refusing to let the anger dictate your actions. It's about putting your logical, disciplined mind back in charge. Find the pause. Own the space. This is not a passive act. It is an aggressive act of self-control. Every time you feel the pull of an automatic reaction, you must fight to create that gap. It is a muscle. The first few times you try to lift this weight, it will feel impossible. Decades of conditioning will scream for you to react, to lash out, to defend, to crumble. You must hold the line. Start small. When someone says something you disagree with, pause before you speak. When you feel the urge to check your phone out of boredom, pause and ask why. When you feel a craving for junk food, pause for 60 seconds before you act. Each pause is a rep. Each rep builds the muscle of discipline. You have a choice in every single moment. That's the key. You have been living as if you have no choice, but the choice is always there, waiting for you in the gap between what happens and what you do next. This is your new training protocol. One conscious breath. That is all it takes to begin. That breath is your sanctuary. It is your command center. In the space created by that one breath, you reclaim your freedom. The world can throw whatever it wants at you, insults, challenges, failures. It cannot force your response. It does not have your permission. You own the space between their action and your reaction. Find the pause. Own the space. You are building a new circuit now. Stimulus. Pause. Observation. Choice. Disciplined action. This is the pathway to power. This is the operating system of the unflappable mind. You now understand the prison and you hold the key. You have the fundamental tool needed to stop the cycle of unconscious reaction. But what do you do when a particularly violent emotion like rage threatens to overwhelm you in that sacred pause? How do you stare down pure anger and deconstruct it piece by piece? We must now move from defense to offense. You have learned to create a gap. Next, you will learn exactly what to do inside that gap to dismantle your most destructive emotion. Chapter 3, Dismantling Rage, How to Deconstruct Anger in Real Time. You have learned to create the gap. The sacred pause. Now we enter that space and confront the most volatile, destructive, and seductive of all your emotions, anger. Rage is a fire. For years, you have let this fire burn you and everything around you. It has cost you relationships, opportunities, and your own peace of mind. It feels powerful in the moment, a surge of raw energy that seems like strength. But it is the ultimate weakness. It is a confession that you have lost control, that an external event or another person has successfully hijacked your internal state. An angry person is a puppet, and you have been willingly dancing on the strings. Society gives you two flawed options for dealing with this fire. The first is to express it. Unleash it. They tell you it's healthy. This is a lie. Uncontrolled expression of rage is like pouring gasoline on the fire to put it out. It reinforces the neural pathway, making it easier to get angry the next time. It solves nothing and damages everything. The second option is to suppress it. Shove it down. Pretend it's not there. This is just a slower form of self-destruction. Suppressed anger doesn't disappear. It metastasizes. It turns into resentment, bitterness, high blood pressure, and chronic anxiety. It is a poison you drink, hoping someone else will suffer. Both paths are for amateurs. Both lead to ruin. We are here to learn the third path. The path of the master. It's not about wild expression or fearful suppression. It is about disciplined deconstruction. First, you must reframe what anger is. Anger is not your enemy. It is not a character flaw. Anger is data. It is a neutral signal, nothing more. Think of it as a dashboard light in your car. When the oil light comes on, you don't smash the dashboard in a fit of rage. You don't ignore it and hope it goes away. You calmly accept the information. The engine needs oil. Anger is an indicator light for your mind. It simply tells you one thing: an internal rule or expectation you hold has been violated by reality. That's it. Someone was rude to you. They violated your rule that people should be respectful. You were treated unfairly. That violated your rule of justice. The data has been delivered. What you do next is a choice. You have a choice. The tool we will use to make this choice is called label and detach. It is the single most effective technique for dismantling rage in real time. It is brutally simple and profoundly effective. Here is the protocol. When you are in the sacred pause and you feel the fire of anger begin to rise, you will perform one simple mental action. You will label the feeling. You will say to yourself, with the calm curiosity of a scientist, I am observing the feeling of anger. This is not a passive affirmation. This is a strategic cognitive shift. The moment you say, I am angry, you have fused your identity with the emotion. You have become the fire. But the moment you say, I am observing anger, you have separated yourself from it. You have become the observer. You are the scientist, and the anger is the specimen under the microscope. You have taken back your power. That's the key. Your new drill is this: label the feeling. Do not become it. Let's apply this. You are driving. A car aggressively cuts you off, nearly causing an accident. The old you would react instantly. The surge of adrenaline, the horn, the curse word. The new you finds the pause. One breath. In that gap, you feel the heat in your chest, the clenching in your jaw. Instead of letting it consume you, you run the protocol. You label it: I am observing a strong surge of anger. You detach. Now, you analyze the data. What rule was violated? The rule that people should drive safely and consider others. The data is noted. Now, what is the most strategic and disciplined response? To escalate a road rage incident with a stranger? Or to take another deep breath, refocus on your own driving, and protect your own safety and peace of mind? The choice is obvious when you are not possessed by the emotion. Label the feeling. Do not become it. Let's take it to the workplace. You are in a meeting. You present an idea you've worked hard on. A colleague dismisses it with a condescending remark. The sting of humiliation hits. The fire of indignation rises. The old you would get defensive. You would argue. You would seethe in silence for the rest of the day, your focus destroyed. The new you finds the pause. You feel the emotional sting. You label it: I am observing the feeling of anger mixed with embarrassment. You detach. You have separated yourself from the initial, raw impulse. Now you are in control. You can choose. You can calmly say, I disagree with that assessment, and I can walk you through the data later. Or you can choose to say nothing, recognizing that an emotional outburst would only prove their perceived point. You don't need their permission to remain in control. Your response is now strategic, not reactive. This is not about being weak. It is the ultimate form of strength. It's not about letting people walk all over you. It is about ensuring that you are the only person who decides how you will respond. It's not about being emotionless. It's about emotional discipline. Anyone can lose their temper. It takes no skill. It takes no training. It is the default setting of the unchecked mind. But to observe that fire, to feel its heat without being burned by it, and to choose a logical path forward, that is the skill of a master. Label the feeling. Do not become it. This is your work now. Every time the indicator light of anger flashes, you will pause, you will label, and you will detach. You will see it for what it is, just data. You will reclaim your power from this primal, destructive force. You have now been given the tools to face the fire. You have a method to deconstruct the hot, explosive emotion of rage. But what do you do when a particularly violent emotion like rage threatens to overwhelm you in that sacred pause? How do you stare down pure anger and deconstruct it piece by piece? We have dismantled anger. Now we must turn our attention to its insidious brother. We must learn to starve your anxiety. Chapter 4. Starve your anxiety, feed your composure. We have confronted the fire of anger. Now we turn to the fog of anxiety. If anger is a hot, explosive reaction to the past or present, anxiety is a cold, creeping poison from a future that does not exist. It is a ghost. And you have been letting a ghost dictate the terms of your life. Let's be brutally clear about what anxiety is. It is not a warning system. It is not your intuition. It is a failure of discipline. It is the undisciplined use of your imagination. You take the magnificent, powerful tool of human imagination, a tool that can build empires and create art, and you use it to construct detailed, vivid horror stories about your own future, and then you choose to live inside them. Anxiety is the act of suffering in advance for a catastrophe that will likely never happen. It is a debt you pay on a loan you never took out. It is a complete and total waste of your mental and emotional energy. It serves no purpose. It protects you from nothing. It only weakens you, paralyzes you, and makes you a prisoner of what if. The mechanism is always the same. Your mind takes one small, objective fact and attaches a sprawling, catastrophic story to it. This story, this fiction, feels so real that your body reacts as if it were true. Your heart races, your palms sweat, your stomach churns. You are having a real, physical reaction to a complete fabrication. You are fighting a phantom in a prison of your own design. Today, you stop being the author of your own horror stories. Today, you stop participating in the fiction. We will starve the anxiety by taking away its only food source, your belief. The tool for this is the fact versus fiction drill. This is your weapon against the fog. It is a scalpel for your mind, designed to cut away the cancerous growth of the story and leave only the clean, sterile tissue of reality. Here is the protocol. The moment you feel the cold grip of anxiety, you must stop. Find the pause. And in that pause, you will draw a hard, non-negotiable line in your mind. On one side, you will list the facts. On the other, you will identify the fiction. Let's be specific. The facts must be objective, verifiable, and undeniable. They are things a security camera would record. The fiction is everything else, your interpretations, your fears, your predictions, your assumptions. Your new command is this: separate the story from the reality. Let's apply this to a common scenario. Your company is going through restructuring. You hear rumors of layoffs. The fog of anxiety begins to roll in. The old you would surrender to it. You would spend days imagining the worst. I'm definitely going to be fired. I won't be able to pay my mortgage. I'll be humiliated. My career is over. You are now living in a future nightmare. Your productivity collapses. Your fear is palpable. You are suffering intensely over something that has not happened. The new you applies the drill. You find the pause. You draw the line. What are the facts? Fact: the company announced a restructuring. Fact: my performance review last month meets expectations. Fact: I have not received any official notification about my position. That is all. Those are the only things a camera could record. Now, what is the story? The story is that you are definitely going to be fired. The story is that you are a failure. The story is that you will lose everything. That is the fiction. And it has no power over you unless you give it power. You have a choice. Separate the story from the reality. Once you see the story for what it is, a work of fiction, you can starve it. You refuse to engage with it. You bring your focus back to the facts. What is the disciplined, logical action based on the facts? Update your resume. Network with a few contacts. Control what you can actually control. It's not about positive thinking. It's not about telling yourself, everything will be fine. That is just another story. This is about accurate thinking. It is about operating from a place of reality, not fear-based fantasy. Let's use another example. You are waiting for a text back from someone important to you. Hours go by. Silence. The anxiety starts. They are angry with me. I must have said something wrong. They are ignoring me. This relationship is over. Stop. Run the drill. Fact: I sent a text message at 10 a.m. Fact: the current time is 4 p.m. Fact: I have not received a response. End of list. That is the entire reality of the situation. The story is the drama. The story is the anger, the rejection, the impending doom. It is a complete fabrication your mind has created to fill a void of information. You don't need their permission to be calm. You just need to stop believing the lies your mind is telling you. Separate the story from the reality. The disciplined mind sees the facts and concludes, they are likely busy. I will focus on my own tasks. The undisciplined mind chooses to live in the painful, self-created drama. Anxiety cannot survive in the cold, hard light of objective reality. It thrives in the fog of speculation. Your job is to be the force that clears the fog. Every time it rolls in, you will turn on the bright, unflinching light of the fact versus fiction drill. You will cut through the narrative and ground yourself in what is real. You have now confronted the hot fire of anger and the cold fog of anxiety. You have been given the tools to dismantle your most powerful internal demons by observing them, creating a gap, and separating fact from fiction. But what happens when the threat to your composure comes not from within, but from without? What about the constant, draining need for the approval of others? What about the weakness that comes from measuring your worth by their applause or their criticism? You have begun to master your internal world. Now, we must fortify you against the external. We must teach you to break free from the most common prison of all, the opinion of other people. Chapter 5: The Prison of Praise and the Freedom of Indifference. You have begun the work of mastering your internal world. You have tools to dismantle the fire of rage and clear the fog of anxiety. But this work is incomplete if your sense of self is still chained to the world outside. The most subtle and dangerous prison is not the one built by your own emotions, but the one built by the opinions of others. We talk a lot about the fear of criticism. We understand that letting a negative comment derail your day is a form of weakness. But now I am going to tell you a harder truth. Your addiction to praise is just as crippling. The need for approval is the other side of the same coin, and both are shackles. If a stranger's compliment can make your day, you have given that same stranger the power to ruin it with a criticism. As long as your emotional state is a variable that can be manipulated by an external source, you are not free. You are a puppet. Praise feels good. It is a warm, seductive drug. But it is a drug nonetheless. It creates a dependency. You start doing things not because they are right or necessary, but because they will generate applause. You soften your edges. You dilute your convictions. You become a performer playing a role for an audience instead of the architect of your own life. This is a quiet form of self-betrayal. The path to emotional detachment requires that you become equally unmoved by both praise and insult. The goal is a state of profound indifference to external opinion. This is not arrogance. Arrogance is a desperate cry for attention. This is a quiet, unshakable confidence that is generated from within. It is the freedom of not needing to prove anything to anyone. The tool to achieve this freedom is the internal scorecard. You must understand this concept. Right now, you are living your life according to an external scorecard. Your sense of worth goes up when you get likes, compliments, and promotions. It plummets when you are ignored, criticized, or rejected. Your self-esteem is a stock price, fluctuating wildly based on a market you cannot control. This is a losing game. It is a life of anxiety and instability. The master rejects this game entirely. The master develops and lives by an internal scorecard. This is your personal, non-negotiable set of standards. It is your definition of integrity. It is your measure of effort. It is your code. You, and you alone, are the judge of whether you have met those standards. Your new mantra is the law of self-reliance. Your scorecard is internal. The rest is noise. Think of a master craftsman, alone in their workshop. They are building a chair. They plane the wood, cut the joints, and sand the surfaces. They do not need an audience to tell them if the work is good. They know. They can feel the perfect fit of a dovetail joint. They can see the flawless grain of the wood. Their satisfaction comes from meeting their own impossibly high standard. When the work is done, they judge it against their internal scorecard. Did I give my full effort? Is this the best work I am capable of producing? Did I compromise on quality? If the answer is yes, they have succeeded. If someone comes along and says, "That is the most beautiful chair I have ever seen," the craftsman simply nods. The praise is pleasant, but it does not validate the work. The work was already validated by the craftsman. If another person comes and says, "That chair is ugly and poorly made," the craftsman is equally unmoved. They know the quality of their work. The criticism is irrelevant. It is just noise. Your scorecard is internal. The rest is noise. This is how you must learn to operate. When you complete a project, when you have a conversation, when you make a choice, you will no longer ask, "What will they think?" That is the question of a slave. You will ask, "Did I act with integrity? Did I give my maximum effort? Does this align with my principles?" That is the question of a master. Here is your new protocol. When you receive praise, you will treat it like data. You will observe it. You will say, "Thank you," politely. And then you will let it go. Do not absorb it. Do not let it become the fuel you run on. You generate your own fuel. When you receive criticism, you will perform the same detached operation. You will observe it. You will ask one logical question: is there any useful data here that can help me improve according to my own standards? If yes, extract the data and discard the emotional packaging it came in. If no, you will discard the entire thing. It is noise. You do not need their permission to know your own worth. You have a choice. It's not about being closed off. It's about having a strong enough core that you are the one who decides what gets in. It's not about ignoring feedback. It is about filtering it through your own value system, not letting it define you. Your scorecard is internal. The rest is noise. Start today. Make a conscious decision to stop seeking validation. Post the thing without checking for likes. Do the favor without needing a thank you. State your opinion in a meeting calmly and without needing everyone to agree. With each small act of self-validation, you strengthen the muscle of your internal scorecard. You reclaim a piece of your power. You have now learned to manage your internal emotions and to build a defense against the chaos of external opinion. Your emotional state is becoming a fortress, built by you, governed by you. But what good is a peaceful inner kingdom if it produces no results in the real world? What is the engine that drives a person who is not fueled by fear, anger, or the need for praise? The answer is the most powerful force in the universe for personal achievement. It is the engine of pure discipline. Chapter 6, Action Without Emotion, the Engine of Pure Discipline. We have built the foundations of your inner fortress. You have learned to detach from anger, anxiety, and the opinions of others. You are building an unshakable internal state. But a fortress that defends nothing is a monument to paranoia. A calm mind that produces no results is a hobby, not a weapon. Now, we build the engine. We forge the mechanism that will translate your inner composure into real-world power and tangible achievement. To do this, we must sever the single most debilitating link in the chain of modern mediocrity, the link between feeling and doing. You have been sold a lie. The lie is called motivation. You have been told to find your passion, to wait for inspiration, to only do the work when you feel like it. This is the most dangerous advice ever given to a person with ambition. Motivation is a fleeting, unreliable, emotional state. It is a fair-weather friend. It is the strategy of a child. It is the excuse of the amateur. A professional does not operate on motivation. A professional operates on discipline. Discipline is the engine that runs in all weather. Discipline is the system that executes the plan when inspiration has taken the day off. Discipline is the promise you made to yourself yesterday that you will honor today, even when the feeling is gone. It is the ultimate act of self-respect. Your new, non-negotiable law is this: feelings are irrelevant to the task. Let's burn this into your mind with an example. The task is to go to the gym at 5 a.m. every morning. The amateur, the person who runs on motivation, wakes up when the alarm rings. Their first question is an emotional one: how do I feel? Their mind begins a negotiation. I'm tired. I'm sore from yesterday. It's warm in bed. I can just go tomorrow. I'm not really motivated today. 90% of the time, the negotiation ends in failure. They hit snooze. They have let a temporary feeling override a long-term commitment. Their body remains weak because their mind is undisciplined. The professional, the operator of a disciplined mind, hears the 5 a.m. alarm. For them, there is no negotiation. There is no question of, how do I feel? The decision to go to the gym was not made at 5 a.m. in a warm bed. It was made days, weeks, or months ago when the commitment was set. The alarm is not a suggestion, it is a trigger for a pre-decided sequence of actions. Feet hit the floor. Clothes go on. They are out the door. During the entire process, they may feel tired. They may feel sore. They may feel a complete lack of motivation. It does not matter. Feelings are irrelevant to the task. The task is to go to the gym. Their body is just a tool that their disciplined mind commands. The action is executed without the permission or participation of their emotional state. That is the key. That is the entire game. You must apply this protocol to every important area of your life. You have a difficult report to write for work. The amateur waits until they feel inspired. They check emails, they browse the internet, they get a coffee, hoping the mood will strike. It rarely does. The work is rushed and mediocre. The professional sits down at the scheduled time. They open the document. They may feel bored. They may feel overwhelmed. It does not matter. Feelings are irrelevant to the task. The task is to write the report. They begin typing. One sentence. Then another. The action itself generates its own momentum. You need to make sales calls. The amateur waits until they feel confident. They worry about rejection. They procrastinate, waiting for a surge of courage. The professional picks up the phone at 9 a.m., exactly as the schedule dictates. They may feel fear. They may feel anxious. It does not matter. Feelings are irrelevant to the task. The task is to dial the number. They execute. It's not about becoming a robot. It is about becoming the master of the machine, not its slave. Your feelings are real, but they are not in charge. You are the observer. You are the commander. You can observe the feeling of tiredness while your body is putting on its running shoes. You can observe the feeling of resistance while your hands are typing the first paragraph. You don't need your feelings' permission to act. You have a choice. You can be governed by the whims of your emotional weather, or you can be governed by the steel of your discipline. Stop waiting to feel like it. You will be waiting forever. Motivation is what gets you started. Discipline is what keeps you going. Motivation is the spark. Discipline is the engine that turns over, day after day after day, regardless of the conditions. Your work for this chapter is to make a list of your most important tasks. The ones you procrastinate on. The ones you wait to feel right about. Then, you will assign a non-negotiable time in your schedule to execute them. When that time comes, you will ignore every feeling that tells you to stop, to wait, or to quit. You will remember the law. Feelings are irrelevant to the task. You will execute the plan. You are forging a new identity. You are no longer a person who needs to be motivated. You are a disciplined individual who acts based on commitment. This is the source of all real-world achievement. You have now learned to build an engine of unstoppable personal discipline, independent of your emotional state. You are mastering yourself when no one is watching. Now, how do you apply this newfound composure when you are being challenged directly? How do you take this internal calm and turn it into a powerful, strategic weapon in a conflict? Chapter 7. Weaponize your calm. Win conflicts by not participating. You have been building your inner fortress in solitude. You have learned to command yourself when the enemy is internal, your anger, your anxiety, your need for approval. Now, we take this power public. We will walk onto the battlefield of human interaction, where others will actively try to breach your defenses, steal your composure, and drag you down into the mud of emotional reaction. Conflict is a game of energy. The person who controls their energy controls the exchange. The person who loses control of their emotions loses. It is that simple. For your entire life, you have been playing this game incorrectly. You believed that winning an argument meant being the loudest, having the sharpest comeback, or proving the other person wrong with overwhelming force. This is the strategy of a brute. It is a sign of weakness. Every time you raise your voice, every time you get defensive, every time you let another person's words provoke you into an emotional state, you are handing them the keys to your mind. An emotional reaction is a currency. When someone attacks you, they are trying to get you to spend that currency. When you give them anger, you are giving them fuel. When you give them defensiveness, you are giving them a victory. You are confirming that they have successfully penetrated your walls. Today, you stop funding your own defeats. Your new central command is this: do not fuel the fire. Become the water. Fire consumes. It is loud, chaotic, and destructive. But it requires fuel to survive. Water does not fight fire. It does not meet its heat with more heat. It simply extinguishes it through its own nature. It is calm, formless, and persistent. Your composure will now become the water that extinguishes the fires of every conflict you encounter. The tactical application of this principle is the gray rock method. Your goal in a heated conflict is to become as uninteresting, unresponsive, and unrewarding as a gray rock. An angry person, a manipulator, a drama seeker, they are all looking for a reaction. They need your emotional energy to sustain them. When you give them nothing, their attack has nowhere to land. Their energy finds no purchase. They are left shouting at a rock. It is a deeply frustrating experience for them, and a profoundly empowering one for you. Here is how you execute the method. When someone confronts you with anger, blame, or emotional manipulation, you will do the following: you will find the pause. You will control your breathing. You will keep your body language neutral. Your facial expression will remain placid. Your tone of voice will be low, calm, and factual. You will not justify, defend, argue, or explain yourself at length. Your responses will be short, concise, and boring. I see. I understand you feel that way. I will take that into consideration. Okay. That is all. You are a black hole for their negativity. They fire their shots, and they disappear without a trace. It's not about being passive, it is about strategic non-participation. You win by refusing to play their game. That's the key. Let's apply this. A manager calls you into their office and begins to aggressively blame you for a missed deadline. Their voice is raised. They are looking for you to get flustered, to make excuses, to accept the emotional weight of their anger. The old you would have immediately engaged. You'd say, "It wasn't my fault, this other department was late." You'd get defensive. Your heart rate would spike. You would have entered the fire. The new you becomes a gray rock. You listen calmly, making eye contact. You let them expend their energy. When they finish, you do not absorb their anger. You respond to the data only. You might say, "I understand the deadline was missed. What is the proposed solution?" Or simply, "I hear you." You have given their fire no fuel. You have not agreed with them. You have not disagreed. You have simply refused to participate in the emotional drama. Their anger suddenly looks foolish and unprofessional when met with unshakable composure. You have all the power. Do not fuel the fire. Become the water. Consider a personal relationship. A partner or family member is trying to bait you into an old, repetitive argument. They bring up past mistakes. They use inflammatory language. They want a fight. The old you would take the bait. The fight would escalate, and nothing would be solved. The new you becomes the water. You refuse to engage with the emotional attacks. You give short, non-committal answers. "I'm not discussing the past right now. I can see you're upset." You do not justify. You do not explain. You make it clear through your calm that you will not be a participant in this drama. The fire of their attack runs out of oxygen and dies. This is the ultimate form of emotional detachment in action. It's not about ignoring problems. It's about refusing to engage with problems in an unproductive, emotional way. Once the emotion has been drained from the situation by your calm, you can then address the logical facts of the issue. But you will only engage on your terms, the terms of logic, reason, and composure. You don't need their permission to remain in control. Your composure is your shield and your sword. It protects you from the emotional attacks of others, and it simultaneously disarms them. It is the most powerful weapon in any room, and it is forged in the silence of your own disciplined mind. You have now learned to master your inner state in solitude and to weaponize that calm in direct conflict with others. You are building a complete system for emotional control. But there is one final battlefield where composure is often lost, the battlefield of personal failure. What happens when the conflict is over and you have lost? What do you do with the emotional fallout of a setback? Chapter 8. Treat failure as data, not as a verdict. You have learned to master your internal state. You have learned to weaponize your calm in the face of external attack. Now, we must confront the final frontier of emotional chaos, the aftermath of failure. Failure. For you, this word has been a judgment. A verdict delivered by the world on your worth, your intelligence, your capability. When you fail, you don't just experience a setback, you experience a personal indictment. Shame burns in your chest. The voice of self-criticism screams in your mind. The emotional hangover can last for days, weeks, even years, poisoning your confidence and paralyzing you from taking the next risk. This is the most inefficient and undisciplined way to live. You have been treating a feedback mechanism as a final sentence. You have been confusing a data point with a verdict on your identity. This emotional attachment to outcomes is the anchor that has been holding you in place. Today, we cut the chain. From this moment forward, you will understand a new, non-negotiable truth. Failure is not a reflection of your worth. It is simply a data point indicating that a particular approach did not work. That is all. It is data. Nothing more. The pain you feel from failure is not a necessary part of the process. It is a self-inflicted wound. It is the friction between your ego's expectation and cold, hard reality. The failure itself is a neutral event. The suffering is a choice. And you will now choose to stop. It's not about avoiding failure. Failure is the price of admission for a life of ambition. It is about stripping failure of its emotional power over you. The tool for this is the objective post-mortem. This is the protocol you will run after every setback, every loss, every time reality does not conform to your plan. You will not mourn. You will not blame. You will not wallow in self-pity. You will analyze, with the cold, detached logic of a scientist reviewing a failed experiment. Here are the steps. First, define the intended outcome. What was the specific, measurable goal you were trying to achieve? Second, state the actual outcome. What happened, described in objective, factual terms. Third, analyze the inputs and variables. What specific actions did you take? What were the external factors at play? Be brutally honest. Fourth, extract the lesson. Based on the gap between the intended and actual outcome, what is the single most important piece of data you have gained? What was the critical error in strategy or execution? Fifth, define the next iteration. Based on this new data, what is the immediate, specific, and logical next attempt? Let's apply this. You spent months preparing for a major job interview for your dream position. You felt you did well. A week later, you receive a rejection email. The old you would collapse. I'm not good enough. I'm a failure. They saw right through me. I'll never get a job like that. This is an emotional tantrum. It is useless. It is a complete waste of a valuable learning opportunity. The new you runs the objective post-mortem. Step 1, intended outcome. To receive a job offer. Step 2, actual outcome. I received a polite rejection email. Step 3, inputs and variables. I researched the company. I practiced my answers. During the interview, I was asked a technical question about a new software that I was not prepared for. My answer was weak. I also noticed the interviewer seemed most engaged when I discussed project management, and less so when I talked about my creative work. Step 4, extract the lesson. The data suggests my technical skills in that specific software are a weak point. The data also suggests this role may be more administrative than creative, which might not be a good fit for me anyway. The critical error was a lack of specific technical preparation. Step 5, next iteration. I will enroll in a short online course for that specific software. I will also adjust my job search to target roles that are more explicitly creative. Do you see the difference? There is no room for shame or self-pity in this process. It is data. Nothing more. You failed, you gathered the data, you recalibrated, and you moved forward, stronger and smarter than before. You have a choice. You can let the rejection be a verdict that says, you are not good enough, or you can let it be data that says, this approach was not good enough. One is a prison. The other is a launchpad. This is the mindset of every high performer. The entrepreneur whose first business goes bankrupt does not conclude, I am a failure. They conduct the post-mortem. The market wasn't ready, the price point was wrong, the marketing was ineffective. It is data. They use that data to build their next, more successful venture. The athlete who loses a championship game does not conclude, I am a loser. They analyze the game film. They identify their mistakes in technique, their lapses in strategy. It is data. They use that data to design their training for the next season. That's the key. Stop personalizing impersonal outcomes. The outcome is not about you. It is about the process. And the process can always be improved. You don't need anyone's permission to get back up and try again with a better strategy. It's not about feeling bad. It's about getting better. Your new protocol is to treat every setback as a training simulation. The world is giving you free, invaluable information about what works and what doesn't. To ignore it by indulging in an emotional breakdown is an act of profound disrespect to your own potential. You now have a system for turning your losses into lessons. You have a protocol for every major emotional challenge. But a tool left in the box is useless. A system that is not practiced becomes forgotten. True mastery is not about knowing the path, it is about walking it, every single day. We must now turn these techniques from something you do into something you are. This requires a non-negotiable daily practice. Chapter 9, The Daily Ritual of Detachment, a non-negotiable practice. You have been given the blueprint. You have been handed the tools. You understand how to dismantle rage, how to starve anxiety, how to build an internal scorecard, how to act without emotion, how to weaponize your calm, and how to turn failure into data. You now know more about practical emotional control than 99% of the population. And it means absolutely nothing. Knowledge is not mastery. A blueprint is not a building. A tool left in the box gathers rust. The principles in this program, without consistent, daily application, are just a collection of interesting ideas that will fade over time. Your mind, left to its own devices, has a powerful gravity. It will pull you back into the old patterns, the old reactions, the old prisons. Its default setting is chaos. To believe that you can listen to this program once and be permanently changed is a fantasy. It is the mindset of a child wishing on a star. We are not in the business of wishing. We are in the business of building. And building requires daily work. Emotional detachment is not a passive state you achieve. It is an active skill you maintain. It is a muscle. And like any muscle, it requires daily training to stay strong. If you go to the gym and lift a heavy weight, you do not become strong forever. You must return the next day, and the next, and the next. If you stop, the muscle atrophies. Your mind is no different. Every day you neglect your practice is a day you grow weaker. Your new life requires a new ritual. A non-negotiable daily practice that will serve as the foundation for everything else you have learned. It is the anchor point for your new identity. Your central command for this chapter is the most important one yet: train the observer every single day. Here is your training protocol. It is brutally simple. It will take exactly 5 minutes. There are no excuses. I do not care how busy you are. If you do not have 5 minutes for this, you do not have a life, you have a state of emergency. This is the 5-minute morning observation. Every morning, before you touch your phone, before you check your email, before you invite the chaos of the world into your mind, you will find a quiet place to sit. You will set a timer for 5 minutes. You will close your eyes. And you will do nothing. You will simply sit and observe the weather of your own mind. Thoughts will arise. Plans for the day. Worries about a project. Memories from yesterday. Feelings will surface. A flicker of anxiety. A pang of boredom. A sense of calm. Your job is not to stop these thoughts. You cannot. Your job is not to engage with them. You must not. Your job is simply to notice them, to label them, and to let them pass. You are the sky, watching the clouds. You are the scientist, watching the specimen. When a thought about a work deadline appears, you will not follow it down a rabbit hole of stress. You will simply make a mental note, planning. And you will let it go. When a feeling of restlessness begins to stir, you will not fidget or quit. You will label it, observing restlessness. And you will remain still. When the internal voice starts to judge the process itself, saying, this is boring or this isn't working, you will label that, too, judging. And you will let it go. Train the observer every single day. This 5-minute period is not for relaxation. It is a high-intensity workout for your observer self. Every single time you successfully label a thought instead of becoming lost in it, you are performing one repetition. You are strengthening the muscle of detachment. You are deepening the gap between stimulus and response. You are reinforcing the fundamental truth: you are not your thoughts, you are the one who observes them. That's the key. Do not be fooled by the simplicity of this exercise. Its power is cumulative. The first day, it may feel pointless. Your mind will be a storm of chaos. That is fine. Your job is not to create a calm mind. Your job is to practice observing the chaotic one. After a week of this non-negotiable practice, you will start to notice a small gap appearing in your daily life. An insult will land, and you will have a microsecond of observation before the anger hits. After a month, that gap will be a full second. You will have time to choose your response. After a year, this state of observation will become your new default. You have a choice. You can let your mind run wild, a tangled mess of reactive circuits, or you can commit 5 minutes a day to instilling order and discipline at the very core of your consciousness. It's not about perfection. It's about consistency. Some days will be easy, some will feel impossible. It does not matter. Train the observer every single day. The professional shows up regardless of how they feel. Feelings are irrelevant to the task. This ritual is the forge. It is where you will hammer your mind into a tool that serves you, rather than a prison that contains you. Everything else you have learned, the gray rock method, the objective post-mortem, the fact versus fiction drill, all of it is powered by the strength of the observer you build in these 5 minutes. You have been given the final piece of the puzzle, the engine of daily practice. This is what makes the transformation permanent. This is what separates the tourist from the resident. Now, we will put it all together. We will look at the new identity you have forged, the sum of all these parts. You are no longer the person who started this program. It is time to step into your new reality and operate from a completely different system. It is time to become the unflappable mind. Chapter 10, Becoming the Unflappable Mind, Your New Operating System. The time for instruction is over. The tools have been given. The blueprints have been laid out. The daily practice has been assigned. We are not here to learn anything new. We are here to acknowledge the profound transformation that has already taken place. The work you have done was not to add layers of knowledge. It was to strip away the years of flawed programming. It was to delete the old operating system of reaction and install a new one, the operating system of the unflappable mind. The techniques are no longer techniques. They are now your reflexes. The sacred pause is no longer something you have to remember. It is the space you naturally inhabit. Label and detach is not a conscious drill. It is how you automatically process incoming emotional data. The internal scorecard is not a concept you refer to. It is the very lens through which you see your own value. This is the point of no return. You cannot go back to being the person who started this program. That person was a leaf in the wind, pushed and pulled by every external event and internal whim. They were a slave to the tyranny of the unchecked mind. You are not that person anymore. You are the architect. You are the operator. You are the calm in the center of the storm. Let's paint a picture of who you are now. The unflappable self does not walk through the world hoping for a peaceful day. They bring the peace with them. Their composure is a force field, an active presence that calms the chaos around them. When a crisis erupts at work, when others are panicking, shouting, and assigning blame, you are the one who is still. Your heart rate is steady. Your mind is clear. You are not dragged into the emotional whirlpool. You observe the chaos, you filter the noise, you identify the core problem, and you begin executing the logical solution. You don't need anyone's permission to be the most stable person in the room. You just are. When someone insults you, tries to belittle you, or attacks your character, there is no emotional sting. There is no fire of rage that needs to be controlled. Your first, automatic response is observation. You see their words for what they are, a reflection of their own internal state, their own lack of control. You might employ the gray rock method, not as a tactic, but as a natural extension of your indifference. Their attack simply finds no purchase and evaporates. You have a choice, and you have already chosen not to participate. When you experience a massive failure, a business that folds, a project that collapses, the old you would have been crushed by the verdict. The new you feels the impact, but the signal is immediately routed through the logic of the objective post-mortem. The feeling of disappointment is observed, labeled, and filed away. Your primary focus is already on the data. What went wrong? What is the lesson? What is the next move? It's not about being fearless, it's about the discipline to act even when fear is present. It is data. Nothing more. This is your new operating system. It runs silently in the background of your consciousness. Your default setting is now observation, not reaction. Your default response to a challenge is discipline, not emotion. Your default source of validation is internal, not external. That's the key. This is not an act you are putting on. This is the inevitable result of your consistent, daily practice. The 5-minute morning observation has carved new neural pathways in your brain. You have trained the observer every single day, and now, the observer is in command. The world will not change. It will continue to be a chaotic, unpredictable, and often irrational place. It will send storms. It will send fires. It will send failures and betrayals. It will test you relentlessly, hoping to find a crack in your armor, hoping to pull you back into the emotional mud. Let it try. You are no longer defined by the conditions outside of you. You are a self-contained, self-regulated entity. Your peace is not conditional. Your composure is not for sale. Your discipline is non-negotiable. This is the ultimate freedom. The freedom from your own emotional volatility. The freedom from the desperate need for things to go your way. The freedom that comes from knowing that whatever the world throws at you, you have the internal architecture to handle it. So stand up. Walk out into the world. Not as the student who learned these lessons, but as the master who embodies them. The training is complete. The system is installed. The work is simply to live. Chaos will come. You will be ready. This is who you are now. You came to this program a slave. A puppet whose strings were pulled by careless words, by unexpected events, by your own unregulated feelings. You were commanded by anger. You were imprisoned by anxiety. You were weakened by the need for approval. No more. You have learned to find the pause. You have learned to observe the feeling, not become the feeling. You have learned to separate story from reality. You were taught to treat failure as data and to act without emotion. Your scorecard is now internal. Your calm is now your weapon. This is no longer a set of instructions. It is your identity. It is your new operating system. The world will continue to test you. It will send insults. It will create setbacks. It will present chaos. It will do everything in its power to pull you back into the storm of reaction. The old you would have drowned. But the new you is the observer. The calm in the center of the storm. The training is over. The real work has just begun. The final question is simple, and the choice is yours, every second of every day from now on. Will you be the slave, or will you be the master? The work begins now.